It was just past midnight on Everest. The wind was screaming across the death zone, colder than -40 degrees, powerful enough to erase human voices from existence. Far below the south summit, climbers were collapsing one by one. Some went blind, some hallucinated, some could no longer stand. Their oxygen bottles were running dry. The ropes they depended on were buried under fresh snow. And above all, the storm that slammed into them was the worst Everest had seen in years. No helicopter could fly this high. No rescue team could climb into this nightmare. And no one at Camp 4 knew for certain who was alive and who was slipping away. Except one man, a Sherpa who refused warmth and safety. A Sherpa who stepped into a storm so violent that even the strongest climbers froze in place. A Sherpa whose courage that night became part of Everest's most controversial disaster. This is the untold story of Ang Dorje Sherpa, a man who fought the mountain itself when others had already surrendered to the storm. Welcome to the Silent Peaks, where we uncover the truth, the mysteries, and the human spirit behind the world's greatest peaks. Stay with us as we bring the mountains closer to you. May 10th, 1996. Everest was overcrowded, dangerously overcrowded. Dozens of climbers pushed for the summit on the same day, forming bottlenecks in the death zone. Ang Dorje, the lead climbing Serdar, Sherpa leader for Adventure Consultants, saw something was wrong long before anyone else admitted it. "We are turning around too late," he warned. He saw the clouds. He felt the pressure drop. He knew that the fixed ropes weren't properly set. He knew delays at 8,000 meters were not inconveniences, they were death sentences. But the clients wanted the summit, and the guides felt pressured to deliver it. By the time Ang Dorje reached the summit, he didn't celebrate. He didn't take pictures. He was reading the sky, and what he saw terrified him. As climbers began descending toward the Hillary Step and South Summit, chaos exploded. Wind speeds roared upward. Visibility collapsed to near zero. Snow erased the trail. Oxygen levels dropped. Hypoxia stole people's judgment. Some climbers who had walked normally minutes earlier suddenly couldn't stand. Others began to babble or wander in the wrong direction. But Ang Dorje didn't freeze. He moved faster. He helped guide climbers down the ridge. He shouted directions into the wind. He pulled people back onto the fixed line. He kept moving because the second he stopped, he knew the cold would kill him too. When word came that several climbers, including Rob Hall and others, were trapped higher up in the storm, Ang Dorje made an impossible decision. He and another Sherpa turned back up the mountain. Climbing up into a blizzard at 8,700 meters is something even elite mountaineers hesitate to do. But Ang Dorje pushed upward anyway, searching for signs of the lost climbers. Step by step, he fought winds that hurled ice like bullets. Snow was waist-deep. The trail was gone. He climbed until he reached a point just 100 meters below the trapped group. But the storm was impenetrable. The wind knocked them to their knees. Their headlamps were useless in the whiteout. They could not see a meter ahead. The mountain had sealed itself off. No human being could push higher and survive. Heartbroken, Ang Dorje was forced to turn back. This is the part almost no one knows. He tried to reach them. He climbed into a storm that was killing people all around him. But Everest refused to open a path. When Ang Dorje reached Camp 4 again, he wasn't resting. He immediately searched the tents. counted missing climbers, checked oxygen, checked radios. All through the night, he and the remaining Sherpas listened to the storm tear across the mountain, knowing friends and clients were still up there, dying inch by inch. Below on the South Col, another group of climbers was trapped in the storm. Some were lying unconscious in the snow. Others were too frostbitten to move. That night, some guides and Sherpas worked together to help whoever they could reach on the plateau, but the lack of visibility and the severity of the storm made every step a gamble. During the chaos, 8 climbers died in the 1996 storm, the deadliest day Everest had seen at the time. Several climbers were rescued, though not by a single person. Anatoly Bukriev of Mountain Madness made multiple solo trips into the storm to retrieve climbers who were still alive on the South Col. Sherpas, including Ang Dorje, worked throughout the night to stabilize Camp 4, assist survivors, and attempt rescues whenever the storm allowed. There is no documented evidence that Ang Dorje carried or dragged dozens of climbers or saved 52 people. But what is documented is this. He pushed upward into a storm where visibility was zero. He got within 100 meters of the trapped climbers, farther than anyone else. He risked his life in a rescue attempt that most climbers would never dare to make at that altitude. His courage was real. His leadership was real. His role was essential, especially in preventing even more deaths. When dawn finally came, the storm eased. Survivors staggered back toward Camp 4, frostbitten, exhausted, traumatized. Everest had claimed 8 lives. Many others survived by razor-thin margins. The tragedy sparked worldwide debate. Why did so many climbers push past the turnaround time? Why weren't the ropes fixed? Why were so many people on the mountain at once? Why did the rescue attempts fail? And at the center of the story, largely unnoticed by the world, stood the Sherpas. The men who fix the ropes, carry the loads, build the camps, guide the climbers, and risk their lives every season while receiving a fraction of the recognition. Ang Dorje returned to Everest in the following years, summiting many more times. His experience that night never left him. It changed him, and it changed how he led teams in the future. Everest is not only about the climbers who stand on the summit. It is about the Sherpas whose names the world rarely remembers. It is about strength that goes unseen. It is about courage that never makes headlines. The 1996 disaster wasn't just a tragedy. It was a reminder that mountains don't care about dreams, fame, or ambition. They only respect those who respect them back. And among the storms of Everest, the world now remembers at least one name, Ang Dorje Sherpa, the man who fought the mountain itself when others had already surrendered to the storm. If you want to understand exactly how this disaster unfolded and why the 1996 storm remains the most debated event in Everest history, click on the video titled Mount Everest Disaster of 1996, What Really Happened, now on your screen.